Hi everyone and welcome back to another video with me, Shruti Vashisht. You're watching Living Our Ascension. So if you are a regular subscriber, I'm not a regular subscriber, but if you are regular on this channel and you're a subscriber, this video might be a little bit different for you. But I was inspired to make this video on veganism and the shift of consciousness, and I'm always speaking about the shift of consciousness. So if you are new and watching this video, I'm an Ascension guide, which means I'm a spiritual guide essentially, and I speak about what's happening on the planet now, you know, this shift in consciousness that is occurring, and what is our role in it. And I speak about, you know, the different energies that are happening now and how to serve best now. So it's like, you know, energy updates and stuff. So in this video, I'm going to be speaking basically from a spiritual perspective. So, you know, if you're one of those who is not really open to that, you're not, you're looking for something more scientific, then this may not be the video for you. So I don't want to waste anybody's time. That's why I'm just giving this disclaimer here. However, I do believe from my perspective that people who are into veganism, they're serving this shift in consciousness. And I'm going to speak about how, but more importantly, I'm going to speak about what I feel needs to change in the veganism movement, or, you know, specifically more than the movement, I like to speak to individuals. So, you know, if you have found this video and you're, let's say, curious about your role in the spiritual process, or you're open to it, you know, you're curious about knowing what the shift in consciousness is, how veganism serves it, or how you can serve it in a higher way. And I may have used the term better in my captions because you know, YouTube allows like a certain limit, and I have to word it a certain way. But what I mean by how you can serve better essentially is how you can serve in a higher way. So higher is not necessarily better. There's it's just that there's a higher perspective, like a more spiritual perspective, and all perspectives, you know, within that are equally valid. But it's kind of like when we serve from the highest perspective, that leads to the least suffering for all. And it's the most harmonious way, you can say. So it's definitely not better in any way, but it's the highest, if you understand what I mean. So if this is what you would like to hear, and you are open to a little bit of, let's say, you know, I don't want to say criticism, but maybe a different perspective, you know, then please keep watching this video. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to this channel because I make videos on the shift in consciousness all the time. I'm an Ascension guide. And what else? I have all kinds of links below my video to work with me personally. I have a website through which you can work with me personally to accelerate, you know, your service essentially, to accelerate your spiritual growth. I have a new course out which is called Manifest Soulmate Relationships. So you can check that out, how to manifest the most harmonious relationships of your life, soulmate relationships, or some people call them twin flame relationships. But essentially it's about turning all of your relationships within that similar dynamic. And yeah, there's even a free mini course that I have, so there's a link for that too. So check out all of that below this video. And now I'm going to move into the subject, which is veganism and the shift of consciousness. So very briefly, what is the shift of consciousness? You know, if you are new to this, essentially we're at this time in Earth's history where, and not just Earth's history, but the history of the solar system, of our universe, where things are getting more accelerated. So there's different cycles that we go through, and it has to do with the position of the sun. So for example, our sun in our local solar system, bear with me here if I'm not going to make this technical part too long. But you know, our sun that is part of our local solar system, that belongs to another system as well. You know, there's higher systems that exist, and we may or may not have discovered it in science. But just like the planets revolve around the sun, and that's one local system, there's other systems that we are part of. There's like a higher order that exists. So this is you know, the spiritual perspective on this. And when the sun comes into a certain position, you know, when it's closer to the galactic center, the center of our galaxy, the galactic center is actually like a portal, you can say, to the higher dimensions, you know, what we call the spirit dimensions, but essentially it's just a different level of consciousness. So when the earth is closer to that, because that has a higher vibration, and it's like you know, the portal to a higher vibration, everything that is within our solar system, because it's at a certain position, it feels the acceleration, so everything speeds up. And that is what we are seeing now. So Earth has gone through different time periods, you know, in its in our solar system, and its movement also. So like I said, don't expect this to be a scientific video, but essentially, even if you know, you don't want to get into that, most of us are feeling this acceleration within, and especially in this year 2020, we're seeing it, how things are, you know, nature, the natural order is taking over. And Earth essentially came to a standstill. It's almost like nature put her foot down and Earth came to a standstill, because we need to have things in alignment, you know, within harmony. And harmony essentially is what love is what divine love is. It's a state of complete balance and harmony, and there's flow within it, but everything fits in the right way. That flow happens, and there is it's like for the highest good of all, you know, things realign and balance themselves. So at a higher perspective, higher level, that is always playing out. So that is essentially the shift in consciousness. We're feeling it now, which is why, you know, there's all of these people, like the rise of veganism, for instance, or different kinds of activism as well, you know, where people are standing up for rights of people, of animals, whatever it might be. But essentially it's about equality, isn't it? And equality is, again, harmony, love. These are very similar vibrations. So what I also speak about on this channel is Ascension updates, which means that how are we serving the collective shift in consciousness, the rising of humanities, coming into truth, coming into love. How are we serving that? And this keeps changing because we keep evolving. So our roles keep changing, and this year we have seen a significant shift as well, and now we are seeing a shift in power. There's like a redistribution of power that is happening because our individual powers are rising. So if we are open to divine love, and we have been doing you know, the inner work of being in our truth and acting from our truth and being in love, serving love essentially, then when we're open to that constantly, then it's like these updates naturally happen, because life finds a way, the natural order finds a way to flow through us and express itself. So whatever needs to happen just naturally comes through, and so we are landing in new power because of that. You know, the souls that are, the people that are serving love now. So what's happening when a new level of power lands? First, always there is this letting go process that happens. You know, you might feel more frustration, you might feel more fear, and essentially that is a rite of passage or a choice that is presenting itself to you, and you need to choose love within the illusion. You need to choose love within, you know, like let's say there's a lot of frustration or helplessness or whatever it is that you're feeling right now, and you feel that things can't get better, or you're just lost, you don't know what to do, or you're feeling stagnation. You need to see past that and see that things are always within balance, within the higher order, and things might be chaotic in our physical reality, but you belong to something larger. There's this, you know, cosmic order. There's the flow of nature within that holds everything in balance and redistributes and keeps everything within harmony. It's like this held order that's there, you know, just like which is a lower representation. Lower doesn't mean bad, it just means lower, more physical. So it's a more physical representation of the cosmic energies and how things are held within balance. It's like these planets are sort of just suspended, you know, in this black void, in this space that is there. How are they just held? There's these electromagnetic forces that are playing out. There's a order that is there within it, you see. They're invisible forces. Maybe you can't see them with your eyes, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist. So within that larger order, there's also this order of nature locally that we have on our planet, where things redistribute, and so that, you know, life can prosper. And then of course within that beings like the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and us humans, we also have our own order. And of course, humans have abused that to a large degree by and we call this the matrix, which is this man-made order that is very based in the mind and all about just this rational thinking. There is this lower rational thinking. There's nothing wrong with rational thinking, but it's when you are not open to love, when the heart is not fully open, then the mind becomes all about survival and how do I survive. And then it just creates this boxed thinking, and it can't be expansive. And then that's when we see things like this, where we're building things and where we think that we are growing, like all of these corporations that are sucking the earth dry. And we're building these tall buildings like skyscrapers that are going up and up into the sky, almost like a representation of the lower masculine, like what is the lower masculine? It's like the phallus, or if you imagine like the penis, and it's like going up. It's that visual almost, where it's just doing that. It's only one aspect of creation, the lower aspect, the more limited aspect, and you're not opening up to the more feminine side of love as well, that balances it out, that creates that holds things also in balance. So when the both combine, then of course we create structures in the world that are amazing, that are for the true progress and equality of all. It's not like some are held back, whether that's gender, whether that is some species, or whatever it might be. It's within the equality of all. That is what true law is. That is what true justice is. Law, justice, all these things are the higher masculine, and when they are truthfully there, within love first, within the opening of this feminine aspect of love first, then all of life flourishes. Okay, but in this video, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a background on the spirituality of it. Through this, I try to keep it as short as possible. But what I want to say is that veganism, first of all, I want to say that I'm vegan. I've been vegan, I think, for about 8 years now. Yeah, I've been vegan for 8 years. And, I follow veganism in my life, but that doesn't mean that every vegan that I see, and I support veganism, but it doesn't mean that every vegan that I see I agree with what they are doing, or that I am automatically just aligned with the same thing, and that is completely fine, because we're all at different stages and we all are doing something that is right for us in the moment. But what I want to present to you in this video, if you are vegan especially, or actually this applies to any kind of activism, if you are an activist of any kind, and that's how you identify, I want to speak to you about what is occurring at an energetic level on the planet now, and how you can serve best within something that is harmonious for you and for all. And if you don't like what I have to say, that's fine. There's room for that. There's room for disagreement. But if you would like to hear that perspective, just come with an open heart. Just just open your heart and listen to what I'm saying. And if you agree with it, that's fine. If it ignites something within you that you resonate with, that's cool. If it doesn't, then that's good as well. But what I've observed is that when we if you right now, for example, are feeling some vibrations of fear, or you're not in a state of peace somehow, because what happens is sometimes when we are an activist, it depends, there's different kinds of activists as well, but if our energy is all about invading something, almost like breaking through old structures, and I admit that structures are old, they are unjust, and let's say you're trying to rescue animals as an example, and you're breaking through certain, like a farm or something like that, or something similar to like this, and your energy is mostly about that. I'm not saying that's not needed, at a physical level. Of course there's these beings that are there and they don't have a voice, at that level, and humans are the ones who have caged them, who have done this to them. But one thing that I will say is that if you are engaging in something that is a bit invasive, even if it's coming from the right place, you have to understand that you are engaging in that energy of invasion. So it's not within a complete state of harmony. And it's not that it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's just not the highest state. So and it's appropriate for some people. I'm not one of those people who thinks that, you know, only one thing is right and the other thing is wrong. This is not how it is. Nothing is really right or wrong ever. It's just about what is right and wrong for you in the moment. So it's about living your truth and knowing what that truth is. So hopefully in this video I'm just letting you know, letting you see what your own truth is. Through your own process you can come to that conclusion. And I would say that, you know, if you are engaging in this and let's say it keeps you in a state of anxiety somehow, or you, for example, you know, recently in India there was this activist that was, this is not a vegan activist, they were speaking about something else, I think feminism, but they were arrested for being very, like, I think on their Twitter handle they spoke up about Krishna, which is this, you know, Hindu god. And how he had like lots of women around him essentially, and she was basically speaking about how he was like a what's that word, playboy, or yeah, I can't use those words actually, because otherwise I think this video will be deleted. But essentially she was saying that it's wrong, you know, that this is not equality, and it's basically sold as religion. And she was very quite forceful about it too. In the language that she used, it was a little bit abusive or whatever. And you know, so I'm not going to speak about whether I agree, don't agree, whatever. That's not the main point. The point is that she was coming from this energy of where she was just putting it out there, you know, and then she was arrested. So this is not a video where I'm trying to tell you that you should not speak up at all. But it made me think, it made me go through an internal process of my own, because in my own videos I also speak about a lot of things. I'm very, you know, verbal about what I disagree with and stuff. And especially all of these powers that be that control basically the planet, you know, that there's only profits for some, and most people live in this control. But there's different ways of going about it, so you don't have to force your way through your message or your actions. And sometimes it might be needed, yes. And I'm going to tell you at the end of this video that you can know when it is needed and when it's not. But before that, I'm just going to speak, you know, a little bit more. So what we need to understand is that if we are constantly keeping ourselves in a state of anxiety, in a state of fear, we're not at peace somehow, if this is what you're feeling in your body, no matter the cause that you're serving, and I'm not asking you to give up on your cause, I'm saying that there can be a redistribution that happens, especially because this is happening now, because we are rising to a new level of power, which means that we are actually going higher. It's like ascending. So people who have been in a certain state of love, but not fully yet within the state of what I call divine love, which is this complete balance. And this complete balance, the state of divine love, it's a vibration. What it's about is, it's about you know, being open to all. It's holding a state of love, but at the same time you're allowing in only those that are fully open. So there's people, let's say, you know, I'm vegan and I go and I'm giving this message out to everybody, and I'm trying to convert everybody into veganism, and I'm trying to rationally give them arguments and convince them. Of course you can do this, and I do see value in it also. But if you have come to the point where you're exhausted by that, that means that it might be a time for you to serve something else, and we'll come to what that is. But because it can be exhausting when there's too much action, you know, and that person, like, you have to convince them so much, whereas there's actually people on the planet that are actually open to a certain degree. And if you know, they through your example, just the energy that you hold, you don't even have to say words, the energy that you hold, it reverberates and it holds that space, and other people are influenced by that as well. So that is also valid. That is the perspective that I want to bring to you today. I'm not saying you should never take any actions and they're not valid or anything like that, but I am saying that most people don't recognize that there is this other level that exists too, that is actually equally valid. And because it's in the invisible realms, it's not about going out and saving animals, like rescuing them physically, but at the same time can actually, sometimes it can be more powerful than those physical actions that we do, you know, where in those zones where people are not ready for that, like we're invading something and we're trying to take it. But if you hold it in your energy, if you hold the vibration of love, which is that you know, I am open, I see love in everybody, even those that are victims, even those that are the perpetrators, because I see that everybody is just trying to get love. They're trying to survive. You know, some people are in that survival mode. They are looking for love, and they think that the only way they can have it is through dominating other people, other species, whatever it might be. So when you, first of all, you hold that, and then you have firm boundaries about who you let in. It's not just, you know, anybody who wants to waste your time, expend your energy. They're coming to you and they're asking you to explain yourself, and you're engaging all of them. And you're, if you hold a certain level of power, right, and you have come to a certain level of love, and you have those certain answers, let's say, isn't it also your responsibility to expend your energy where it is most needed? Because, you know, you have these answers that humanity is looking for, in a sense, or you hold a certain vibration, so you have to take care of yourself. And in the vegan community, I have seen this. I'm not saying it's everybody, but there's a lot of people that are there who haven't rescued themselves first. They haven't gone into their own concept of wounding and things that have happened to them. They haven't healed that properly, and so what they're doing is, there's this action that is happening outwardly. They're going and rescuing other beings, and of course this is also a noble goal, you know, where we're working with those shadows. But the thing is that the real peace, the real vibration of love, and the real example of love that you can become and hold in your body, where you are also at peace, you know, will happen when you address it here first. And there's different levels of it. Some people come from this level of complete helplessness. They've been so oppressed in their past that, you know, this anger or this outward action is actually very freeing. And if somebody is in that state, you know, more power to them. What you are doing should feel like freedom to you. If you have, if you're feeling the vibration of stagnation, you're not at peace, you're feeling some anger, all of these things, that means that maybe you have moved to another state. Maybe, you know, something else is required now. So I know that subtle energies can be hard to understand for people, and you know, when we're new to it, and what does divine love really mean? So I'm going to give you one more physical example. So the best way to think about it is, think about love making. When you are making love to someone, let's use the example of a man and a woman, just because it's where we're using, you know, the feminine and masculine force. It doesn't have to be male and female, but it's easier to think about sometimes when we think of male and female, when we're first understanding it. So if you think about you know, the feminine person or the woman who is open and receiving, like think about a man who is coming in and just forcing their way through. You know, they know, like let's say they believe something as truth, or they're feeling that masculine forward energy, and they just come at her. This is invasion, right? This, you know, essentially it's rape, or it's some sort of some level of abuse is there, or some level of fear is there. It's not within balance. Whereas if you allow for that softening to first happen, you are present with people, that softening happens. So it's the same as, you know, let's say the woman melts and there's this water element that comes in, you know, the softening that happens. It creates that easy pathway for you to just slide in, and then you are able to do those actions that you want, but now they are within love. And this is because you haven't forced your way into it. This is because you know, that person was open to you, and you see how much easier that feels. Like that love making is going to feel amazing, it's going to feel harmonious, whereas the other one is not going to feel that way. It's going to feel like a struggle, even if you got what you wanted at the end of it. So something where it's fully mutual always leads to the highest results. It's intensely magnetic. That woman or that person will always want to come back to you. You know, if they are in the receptive mode, they're more in this feminine energy. So they will always want to come back to you. They'll tell all their friends about, you know, these things that you are speaking about, or your example. It's magnetic, because who doesn't want to experience that highest level of, you know, orgasm? And that only happens when there is this beautiful exchange of the person that is receiving and the person that is giving, when it's within complete harmony, which is love. I feel that when you create that level of magnetism, so sometimes by not taking an action, it might also be the right thing. It might be the higher thing. Again, higher does not mean better, but it's just a different stage. So it means that maybe you are not taking as many actions, maybe you're not doing as many rescues anymore, or you're not going and speaking out the message everywhere, and you can relax a bit, you can chill a bit, you can give yourself that self-love first, because it's most important. If you are serving your body and you taking care of yourself, you know, self-love and self-healing is most important first. We can't really claim that we are holding love, or we are healing the planet properly, you know, in a full new total way, until we don't give that to ourselves. We haven't allowed that to ourselves first. So when you are able to create that magnetism, that harmony, that beautiful give and take that is harmonious, even if it's with just one person. Like, let's say before you are working with many people, but there's more of the struggle, they're half convinced or they're not convinced, versus like you engage, you hold space, there's less action, but you go into those areas where people are ready, they're fully open, you know, you're working with that energy, you will draw them to you, because that's magnetism. See how people are repelled by you know, when let's say vegans show this, they do demonstrations, and it's like this flesh and death and, you know, these more grotesque images. Again, I'm not saying that there's no value for them, because those people, they're working with the shadow, you know, they're sort of like my interpretation of it is that they're showing people this underlying wounding and shadow that we're not acknowledging. But most people are repelled by that. Like, even as a vegan, when I see it, I don't want to look at all of those things. Whereas, like, if somebody is being an example in their life, and they have a platform, and they're letting whoever wants to come to them be drawn. So this is what I'm saying, that being drawn, there's immense power in this, even though you can't see it. Because these are the most subtle energies, and sometimes humans value themselves as with how many actions have I taken, how many people have I gone out to today, otherwise I am not useful. There can be this theme running inside. Whereas it's not necessarily true. Sometimes you're speaking within harmony. There's few people listening, but those are the ones completely open, and it creates that higher energy, that magnetism that is there. They will tell their friends about it. There will be more, you will just draw more to you that is fully ready. And it's not only even what you're doing in your physical reality. What you are creating is this total vibration of love. And then anybody who's looking for answers, let's say they're trying to become vegan, or they're wondering, you know, is veganism right for me? At an energetic level, what's happening is that they've recognized that something is wrong, but they're not fully admitting it. There is more energy in the collective that is available to them that is about love, rather than the shadows and this wounding and stuff. When more people who are holding love, you know, which might be you now, which is many of us that are ascending, when we move to a different higher level, we're not only working with the shadows, we go higher, because it's the next level of our ascension, of our coming into love, is this more harmonious state where it's not so much about action, but it's about holding. It's internal action. There is more action that happens internally, and in fact you can influence more, and there is actually more changes that happen through an energetic level. It's kind of like, you know, what is higher, again, that doesn't mean better, but it's like if there's this one thing, like an umbrella, you know, like those charts that you see, there's this umbrella and flow chart, and then there's like 5 things that it holds, this one thing. It influences these 5 things. So you may not be able to see it. These ones will be the ones doing the action, but there's something behind it, that one thing that holds all of it. So when it elevates, it pulls those other things with it. So when you hold a higher vibration, you're going to influence, even if you only have 5 people that are fully on board. And then those 5 people, they come to that level, then they're influencing, each of those 1 people influences 5 more. So that's multiplication, you see. So that one thing, the higher that it becomes, it actually influences a lot. So that is why there is power in working to put more action internally, which is this motion, rather than only action in the outwards, which is this motion. So that is why in spirituality we have that Christ symbol, right? It's about the balance of both, the higher actions that are internal and about alignment to what is highest, and actions that are out in the world as well. So we need to do both. Okay, so so how can I wrap this video up? I want to so first of all, I'm just going to end this with a little exercise that you can do to evaluate if you are in the state where you want to where you are genuinely in that state where you want to move into something higher, to serve as love, something that is more along the lines of harmony. If that is the case, then what can you do? And this is an answer you will give yourself. So you can ask yourself this. You can just sort of close your eyes, focus in on the heart, and keep an open heart. See your heart opening, and feel that whatever action you are doing now with regards to veganism or your activism or whatever, generally just anything in life, to be honest, does this action make me feel at peace, or am I in a state of fear, anger, anxiety, frustration, stagnation? How does this action make me feel? And if the answer is not peace, then you know that perhaps there's something else that is needed, and we can address what that is later on. Another second question you can ask yourself is, does this action feel like love? And I've explained to you what love is. Love is harmony. Love is seamless flow. Love is holding an open space, but magnetism, that I'm here, I'm not taking as many actions, but the right things are drawn to me. And then I can take those little actions, few actions, but they will be more efficient, and they influence at an internal way. It goes deeper, and therefore there's that ripple effect. So therefore I am more relaxed. I don't need to take as much physical action, but at the same time there's action that's happening. So does it feel like love? Does it feel like balance? Because what is love? At the beginning of this video, I said that love is, like Mother Nature. The flow of nature is also love. So there is this reordering, this rebalancing that happens on its own. So that means that there's a higher order that holds you, whether that's the order of nature, and even higher than that, the cosmic order. So you belong to a higher order. So at one level, it's all right. If things are, there's a natural flow of life. Even people who experience suffering, perhaps they need to go through that stage. Different species that experience suffering, I'm not saying that it's, ideal. But perhaps you can influence that better by being in a state of relaxation and love yourself first. Perhaps action is not always the highest answer. Perhaps there's a action is also happening through a higher order that exists, that redistributes everything and puts everything in the right place at the right time. For example, if you level up and you are not taking as many actions, what happens at an energetic level that I can tell you as a spiritual guide, when we level up, we might think, oh, I'm not doing as much action, and feel guilty for it. But if you have raised your vibration, you have created an energetic space for other people to come and engage at that level where you were. So there is this natural order that life follows. You see, we won't jump straight from complete helplessness, complete submission, and not knowing what is lurking beneath the surface with regards to, let's say, veganism, and go from a higher level up, which is anger, or taking those more invasive actions, this more indigo warrior-like energy. It can be positive also, this more warrior-like energy. But again, a warrior is always at fight. So while it might be noble, it may not be the highest, but there will be other people that will be so happy to come into that warrior energy, and you create space for that when you leave that space, when you are no longer required there, when you feel it in your heart that I'm done with this. So you actually create more space and you elevate the vibration of the earth by aligning with a higher vibration. So does this feel like love, the action that you are doing now? Within the trust that I trust that nature has a way of redistributing everything on the planet, redistributing me as well, redistributing the power that I knew myself as, this power distribution. And it's okay, you know, I'm allowed to move to another level. I'm allowed to also take care of myself. And I may perhaps influence more people at an internal level in that way. So does that feel right in my heart? Can I take one small action to do that and see if it feels right in my heart now? What action is that? How can I allow myself to relax more now and yet serve my mission? And that is the highest way that you can serve now. You can ask this question to yourself at any time, because our service also changes. How we show up in the world changes. We are always evolving. So it won't be the same answer every time. Let's see. So this is how you know. Let me see if I missed anything else. You know, when you hold more love within your body, whoever it is, whenever we hold more love in our body, we will actually see more of it in the world as well. We will attract it. And before that, you know, if we are not recognizing our own wounding or our own fears, or we're not going into our own shadows first and rescuing ourselves here, we will always be engaged with rescuing outside. And I'm not saying this is every vegan either, but you know, if this is sparking something within you, maybe it's triggering you a little bit, just be open and see, perhaps is there a part of me that is trying to rescue everybody in the world or other species? Why do I have this intense need to rescue everything, and then I feel guilty when I can't do it? Is there a part of me that needs to be seen, that needs to be rescued, that needs my love? That love and action that I'm showing in the outer, do I also need to give it to myself somehow, by showing up for myself also, and my own needs, my own self-care? So love is the vibration. Love allows others in without force. Love is the vibration of harmony. Love is, when we hold love, we know that there is a higher order that exists as well. We don't have to do all the action, take care of everything, because that is also control. When you don't trust that, you know, there is a higher order that's there, that there's a distribution that's there, and you are not alone, you're not fighting this battle alone. In fact, there is no battle. That there's a higher order that holds everything, and within that higher reality, all is always well. So there will be this distribution that always happens. So if the action that you're doing, if at any point, if it's not feeling like freedom to you, if it doesn't feel like expansion to you, perhaps it's time to drop that action, and perhaps there's something else that's needed. Then again, you can go in with those two questions that I asked you, and ask yourself, what is that highest action that I can do now in a state of relaxation, love, harmony, that feels like love, that feels like trust within this higher order, but also in alignment to my truth. So I'm not abandoning my truth, I'm not abandoning my mission, but what does my mission look like now that is more within harmony, that I can serve in the highest possible way? Let me serve in the most efficient, the highest possible way now. So yeah, I think that is essentially it that I want to say, that we are naturally placed and inspired in the highest way that we can serve, that is also harmonious. So it'll be we don't always as humans have this perspective until we don't open our hearts and allow that inspiration to come in, you know. The mind can only think so much. The mind is a beautiful thing, but it doesn't serve all functions, everything. There's other organs that we have, there's other sensations that we have, other senses, you know, other intelligence that we have. it all needs to work together. So yeah, I hope that this video was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. If it inspired anything within you, if you are actually finding yourself change, there's a redistribution of power happening within you, what that looks like in the now, let me know all of it. Or if you disagree, you know, any comment that comes within love is welcome. That is for the highest expansion of all of us. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you got some wisdom today. I will see you in the next video.